2023, and this is the meeting of the Conservation Commission. It is about 7:03 p.m. and I will, my name is Patricia Sweroduk, and I will open the public meeting. I'm going to take a roll call first. Nat, we're going to have to. We're going to have to do, everything has to be done now. Every vote, it has to be done by roll call. So sorry.
No worries. Present. Just gonna do myself on mute.
It's okay. And Joe.
Present.
And Kelly.
Here.
And myself, Patty Sweroduk. So that constitutes a quorum. Just a little bit of administrative stuff about our Zoom meeting tonight due to the rollback of the COVID-19 state of emergency order as of 12:01 a.m. on June 5th, 2021. The enacting legislation also passed on June 15th, 2021. The governor signing said legislation on June 16th, 2021, and verification of same by town council. This meeting is being held remotely. This extension was further extended by an executive order from the governor on March 12th, 2022 until July 15th, 2022, then further on July 16th, 2022 until March 31st, 2023. On March 29th, 2023, the governor signed a further extension for the hybrid remote meeting options to the municipalities, extended to March 31st, 2025. Public hearings will continue to be accessible for live interactions by the public using the following information, and that's the information on your agenda. So let's head on into the administrative portion. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the April 11th, 2023 public meeting?
So moved.
Second.
And I have to take a roll call. So Nat?
Aye, or yes.
Okay, and I'm an aye. And Joe?
Yes.
And Kelly?
Yes.
So that motion passes unanimously. Can I get a motion to approve for the approval of the field trip reports of the April 25th, 2023 meeting?
So moved.
Second.
And roll call, Nat?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Kelly?
Yep.
And myself is an aye, so that motion passes unanimously. And finally, can I get a motion to receive the minutes of the April 25th, 2023 meeting?
So moved.
Second.
And roll call vote, Nat?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Kelly?
Yep.
And myself is an aye, so that motion passes unanimously. On to the field trip reports. The first field trip report is the continued request for a certificate of compliance DEP file number 15-2400 from Prime Engineering for the Western Detention Basins at Dartmouth Business Park. Put my glasses on, sorry, 2 off Commerce Drive, the western end cul-de-sac. Mark?
Yes, I'm going to handle the first field trip report, and then I'm going to turn over the last 3 to Adam.
Okay.
So this, and the reason I'm taking this one is this has been ongoing discussions between Prime Engineering, DPW, and the conservation staff. There are still some unanswered questions related to the detention bases complying with DPW requirements. We received an email, which I forwarded to the commission, indicating that Prime Engineering wanted to continue this again until May 23rd of 2023. They met with DPW on site, and I think they've got a handle on what needs to be done. So we're recommending to continue until the 23rd.
Thank you, Mark.
Madam Chair, I just want to announce that Richard Mallon has just joined the meeting.
Thank you, Richard. Glad to have you.
I know.
The field trip reports number 1. So can I get a motion for a continuance for this until May 23rd, 2023?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Nat,
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Kelly?
Yep.
Richard?
Yes.
And myself, so that's an aye for myself, and so that motion passes unanimously. And on to the field trip report number 2, Adam?
Yeah, and I apologize, my camera is just not turning on, but this is this is an older subdivision filing. There were receding partial COCs as the previous work
Excuse
was.
me, point of order. I think we need to read it in, at least the legal ad. Or
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That's my mistake.
Sorry, Adam.
No problem.
My mistake. That was my mistake. This is a request for a partial certificate of compliance for DEP file 15-0555 from attorney Brian Glover for map 115, lot 9-6 or 18 Twin Ponds Drive. Now you're up, Adam.
Thank
Sorry
you.
about that.
No problem. This is an older subdivision filing. There were receding partial COCs as the previous work was completed in compliance. So therefore, staff recommends issuing a partial certificate of compliance.
Thank you very much, Adam.
You're welcome.
Can I get a motion for a partial certificate of compliance?
So moved.
Second.
Nat,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
and Richard,
All right.
and myself as an aye, so that motion passes unanimously. On to number 3 of the field trip reports. This is a request for determination of applicability from Maurice Colso, who is proposing an in-ground pool in the riverfront area on land described as map 166, lot 91, otherwise known as 47 Gifford Avenue. Adam?
Yeah, like you said, this is for an in-the-ground pool in the riverfront area. It will cause no disruption to the resource area, and the pool is in an existing lawn area. Therefore, staff is recommending issuing a -2 determination with standard erosion control device segregating the work area from the down gradient resources.
Thank you. Can I get a motion for a -2 determination with the conditions as Adam described?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote. Nat,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
and myself is an aye, so that motion passes unanimously. On to, and by the way, anybody in the audience, a -2 is a good thing. So, so no worries. On to number 4 in the field trip reports. This is a request for determination of applicability from South Coast Investments, who is proposing to demolish and replace an existing home within the same footprint in the buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland on land described as map 123, lot 80, otherwise known as 111 Prospect Street. Adam?
Yep, like you said, again, this is the project for the demolition of the existing house and to build a new one in the existing footprint in the buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. There will be an active continual use between the project site and the BVW, and the proposed use will be less impacting than the existing conditions. Therefore, staff recommends a -3 determination.
Did you say -3, Adam?
Yes, I did.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
Commissioners, can I get a motion for a -3 determination?
So moved.
Second.
And roll call vote. Nat,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
and myself is an aye, so that motion passes unanimously. We're going to move on to the public hearings. The first is a continued public hearing, DEP file number 15-2659, on the notice of intent from Potter Street Solar LLC for a single-family dwelling and a ground-mounted solar panel array on the rear portion of the lot within bordering land subject to flooding in the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland on land described as map 138, lot 144, otherwise known as Potter Street. Can I get a motion to waive the reading?
So
So
moved.
moved.
second,
Second.
And that will also have to be a roll call vote. So Nat,
aye,
Joe,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
and for myself is an aye, so that motion passes unanimously. Is there anybody here for the applicant?
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commission members. For the record, Christian Fallon, Principal Engineer and President of Fallon Corp. Since the last meeting, we have received comments from the town, Dutch Proposal Peer Review Consultant, DPW, and we've talked with Board of Health and the Building Department. Since then, if I may, I'll share my screen.
Yes, thank you.
Can you all see the plan set?
Yes,
Great. So this is the actual plan set that was, comments were made from DPW. I'm just gonna scroll through them real quick, just to give you an idea of the revisions. Very minor, plan notes here were made. This here, the second sheet, they just wanted to show this green area. They just want it to be shown on every plan, which is just really a drafting. They wanted to, see the easements on every plan and the top of the bank of the intermittent stream on the plans. The third sheet, again, just had a question in regards to an easement on the plan. The fourth sheet. They just had some notes down at the bottom, basically cut and cap the existing utilities. Very minor notes, which are outside 100-foot buffer zones, nowhere near the wetlands. No comments in regards to the solar arrays. Had some comments in regards to the sidewalks. Again, solar arrays. One little detail they wanted us to add a vertical granite curb detail to the details we have on our plans. All their other comments we addressed. The big difference between this plan set and the original set is we decided to, as you can see here, we decided to, sorry, trying to get back to the, so I can see you guys. We decided to, pull the residential dwellings from the project. After talking with the Board of Health, Chris Musho, it just didn't make sense financially for us to go forward with residential. And, with the environmental area and some of the surrounding areas, we just don't want to go forward with doing a phase 2, which would require, borings out there to the site. So we decided just to do solar. We have an email from Chris stating that he wouldn't need any more additional information from us. We met with the building department for these revised plans, and he has no issues with it. We did have a meeting with Gus Raposo and Paul Duat and Mark Garrett. Again, during that meeting, no really major issues came up. One issue, these are the comments from Gus Raposo, which are 6 comments. One of the comments, I'll just go through them real quickly. Existing topography of adjacent lots. Now, keep in mind with this development, we're not changing any of the grades here where the solar arrays are. The only thing we're gonna be doing is basically these drilled ground screws, they just go directly into the ground. So there's no excavation whatsoever. One thing we did add is the 12-inch crushed stone, which is a drip edge. We did that for the entire solar array. A previously project, they just did that within the 100-foot buffer zone, but we actually did it for the entire project, just to mitigate any future runoff issues. It's also important to note that, as we said, we're not changing the topography. So if we zoom in, the topography of the site grades doesn't direct any stormwater to any of the abutting property owners. Therefore, we're not changing any of that. We're not changing any of that. Actually, we're reducing quite a bit just from the demolition of the existing structures and the removal of all the asphalt off-site. So it's actually going to be a significant improvement in regards to stormwater. Again, we know the history of the site. Yes, there may have been some filling back in the 1960s. Unfortunately, a lot of this work was done before the Wetlands Protection Act existed. And certainly wasn't anything that I ever did. I'm purchasing this property just to do solar. I think it makes the most sense economically, and for the town and for the abutters. Again, I can go through Gus's other comments. Talks about soils. We provided the soil information. Again, we're not increasing any impervious area here. Talks about construction sequencing notes and lay down areas, which we do show on our plan. We have a proposed construction laydown area here, which is more than enough area to lay down, solar panels. Each one will be done individually. It's not like we deliver the whole entire site at once. These are 3 separate permits, 3 separate tie-ins to Eversource. So we feel the project presented tonight certainly doesn't have any negative impacts to the wetland resource areas, which is your jurisdiction. And we fully comply with DEP. I don't know what else we could provide here. Like I said, the history of the site is the history of the site. But we feel the plans presented are certainly in full compliance with the regulations, with your own regulations, and with any other town. We're not seeking any variances. And if we were, again, that would be, a different board anyway. But we hope we can move forward with this project. And we'll be glad to answer any questions the commission may have.
Thank you. Thank you. Mark, could we have staff comments, please?
Yeah, Christian, could you get rid of your plans so I can share screen, please?
Sure.
Thank you. First, let me say that solar use is not the issue here as far as staff is concerned. Our issues deal with a much more complex issue, which I think Christian is understating. My screen, I want to show you a couple of things. First is the existing fill perimeter. I've encircled the 3 lots, subject lots here, and I am going to say that as Christian did going through the plans, he kind of lumped the 3 filings together. My comments are going to be very similar for all 3, so I'm going to do them once to save time here. So I've encircled the 3 lots, and what's important to note is that notice the concave nature of
Mark.
the wetlands.
Mark, I don't mean to cut you off, but yeah.
Mark, did you have something up on the screen that you were?
You don't see it?
No.
Dude, because it's up on my screen.
Okay.
Why is this not happening? I practiced this. It worked before.
It always happens on the night of the meeting. I'm seeing something coming up. There you go.
You got it now?
You
Yep.
got it.
Yep.
Okay. I must not have hit a button. Okay, so let me go back. This first window is taken from Mass GIS. And what it shows is the fill perimeter in the lighter green and a general DEP wetland assessment in the darker shaded green with the plant hatching. What is critical to note here is the concave nature of the wetland shape and the convex nature of the fill perimeter protruding into the wetlands. A step further, what I did was I went on MapGeo and I clicked on 2 points. Point where my cursor is now, do you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
And a point where my cursor is here. Those are both contour 61. And that contour follows this very same perimeter. Okay, and my question is, as an analyst, is why wouldn't this contour have crossed here? And this contour is very similar to where the wetlands contours are. So it begs the question. The third little inset here shows, again, the 3 lots, the project area, and shows conservation jurisdiction over this site. The blue and the green are 100-year floodplain. The pink is a 100-year floodway. These orange areas are areas that DEP suspects were wetlands that have been filled. Notice that those wetlands appear on 2 of the sites. In their comments, when they issued the file number, they requested that the applicant research out when the fills were done as they relate to the regulatory statutes of the time. This has not been done. This was day 1. Now, I know that Christian is saying we didn't do the fill. I get it. And as non-property owners, they're not responsible for it right now. However, they were applying for a project on a problematic site, which Christian has admitted to. And basically the project is to cover over a potential problem. And that problem is the fill. What could the fill do? Is it impacting wetlands? Is it impacting the protectable interests of wetlands, of which groundwater, the protection of groundwater is one? We don't know the answer to that. It's not staff's responsibility nor the commission's to answer that question. That question was posed by a reviewer to the applicant. Haven't gotten that answer yet. We've dodged around it several times, but we haven't gotten the direct answer, and the work hasn't been done. It minimizes the comments. Yeah, the DPW comments are minimal, but we've been at this since November 28th, 2022. And we're asking the same questions over and over and over again, and they just haven't been responded to. Our drainage consultant has asked the same questions, and much of his questions and concerns are to the content of the fill, which is a question that I have. The applicant reports the soils to be ridgeberry soils, which are hydric soils. I mean, in a pre-existing condition. The Department of Public Health, the conservation staff, and Christian's own consultant who conducted a walkover paper study in ESA Phase 1 also concludes that these soils are urban soils and contain indications of both solid and potentially hazardous waste, interfacing with potential wetlands and groundwater. Christian does not want to spend money to do the Phase 2. I understand that. Unfortunately, he's got a site that his application has opened up this investigation. And I, in good conscience, cannot recommend to the commission to approve this project until these questions are satisfactorily answered. I don't have the answer. I'm only going by the indications of my own eyes of 40 years of experience. Christian's consultant, who concurs with me, and public health. This site is potentially an unlined, unsecured, unpermitted landfill. And to just sit back and say, oh yeah, we'll put solar on it and not do anything to protect the surrounding environment, if in fact it is a landfill, is irresponsible for the commission to do. And I think it is important to keep that all in context. Our jurisdiction is for existing and those pre-existing resource areas that may have been filled without proper authorization. And Christian is right, the filling started around 1962, and the filling continued well into the 2000s. After 1983, there were filing requirements. We don't know when those fills took place. We don't know what was put there. Okay, somebody has to do that work, and it's not the town, and it's not the state. I mean, the applicant wants to use the site. It's their responsibility. I know the commission did not, and there's a curious thread here to how this project has been presented, because we haven't gotten answers, excuse me, to certain questions. We also had an application back in November 28th with an applicant, Otter Street Solar LLC. In March, I just happened to take a look to find out that that was not a registered corporation in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. It was a phantom applicant. As of April 21st of this year, it is now a legitimate corporation. But for almost 5 months, we were looking at an application from nobody, legally, and that presents a question to me. In terms of the zoning, which I know the commission says is not in their jurisdiction, the first plan set showed one connection. Building commissioners in his email said this was a single project. It's prohibited. Then they changed to 3 connections. Now Christian just kind of thumbed through in his sketch and said, well, we have 3 connections. Well, no, they don't. They have 1 connection. They have 3 connections coming down to a series of transformers that leave the site as a single connection. Okay, I happen to know that Joe Braga is considering this as a single connection. I don't know what's real and what isn't. What I know is we have gotten minimal information. Not all of the questions have been asked. Not all of the reviews have been satisfied. And we're being asked to review a project that may have wetland impacts. Having said all that, I don't know exactly what the commission can do. The fill, as described by Mr. Fallon's consultant in their ESA Phase 1, does not meet the standard of General Condition 7, which exists in all orders of conditions, which states any fill shall contain no trash, refuse, rubbish, or debris, including but not limited to lumber, bricks, plaster, wire, lath, paper, cardboard, pipes, tires, ashes, refrigerator, motor vehicles, or parts of any of the foregoing. If you read the summation, which I emailed to you folks 2 weeks ago, many of those things are listed in the executive summary of the ESA. So our hands are tied here, okay, on the thought that we didn't do it, it's somebody else's problem. Now, I agree with Christians, they didn't do it. But nonetheless, it is a site that is going to be worked on, which is going to have auger screwed into it, which is going to require digging to put in overhead poles. Now, I believe he shows subsurface electric conduits, which are going to need excavation. We'll be digging into materials that are suspicious, that we don't know the entities, and we're going to destabilize them. I think, and I've said this right along, we are at a very premature stage. If we are being asked to approve this tonight, my recommendation is I'm not requesting to approve it tonight. Okay, for incomplete information that does not allow the commission to review this project adequately against the presumptions of significance for the existing and potentially pre-existing resources that may have been filled illegally back in the day to support a new project, which is just going to cover everything over. I would also submit that this project might trip jurisdiction at DEP in solid waste and hazardous waste. I don't know that. It's not my expertise. I did work on those though a long time ago, and this certainly has the feel of something like that. So to end my dissertation here, the commission has several options. You can support recommendations either in two ways. We can either deny the project outright based on limited and incomplete information provided to meet the commission's charge to protect the presumptions of significance and protectable interests of the jurisdictional resources present on site or historical. You can move in second, this is the second option, you can move, approve, and second, but then not support that motion moving forward. You can allow for continuance to respond to all of our needs. I would suggest that there be a timeline on that. Or we could request that the applicant, and I know they probably won't do this, but you have to give them their option to withdraw without prejudice until such time as they can provide the information. And lastly, but not recommended, the commission may move and second the motion to approve the project as proposed according to the revised plans dated April 24th, 2023 with conditions. I know that was a mouthful, but that was the shortened version.
Great. Thank you very much, Mark. Commissioners, do you have any comments? Do you have any questions? I do. I think, first of all, it's important to note that this applicant has come before us numerous times. It's now May, and we've seen this over and over again. And sometimes those things happen, but I think in this case, I'm disturbed by the fact that we have not received answers to the questions that we've asked here from this commission. And I'm not going to talk about other departments. So I think that bothers me quite a bit. I want to say that I do not object to the project outcome or the fact that this site is going to be reused or has some reuse potential, but it needs to be analyzed and it needs to be implemented properly. So I want to make that distinction. The project outcome is a good outcome, but it has to be done properly. We are governed by the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, regulations chapter 131, Section 40, and 310 CMR 10.0, and the Town Wetlands Bylaw, Chapter 360. And although I like the idea of the project, I think that we do not have the answers to our questions. And in my view, I can't support this project. I would, if the commission, I'd like to hear from the rest of the commissioners, but we have asked for information from the applicant who continues not to provide it for us. And I think that's disturbing. And I think that that does provide grounds for a denial or to continue or to approve a project with conditions, but I'm not, I can't approve it. I can't honestly get behind this project because we don't have the answers that we need. And in order to approve this project, I would need those answers. And I think staff has repeatedly asked for that. The other departments, you know, how they want to make their determinations is that's their business and that's their findings, and we don't get involved in that. So I want to be clear about that as well. This is a wetlands issue. This is something that we need answers to. We need to make sure that when we approve work on a site, that it's done properly. That's part of our regulatory job. So that's my comment. Commissioners, I welcome yours.
Patty, I largely agree with your line of thinking. And I guess my only question for the applicant is, and if it's acceptable, give him a chance to respond. Do you agree with some of the assessments that have been, you know, some of the opinions that Mark has raised, and do you have an answer, I guess, for those questions, or do you agree that they're outstanding?
If I may, Madam Chair.
Certainly.
So the questions that Mark has addressed in regards to the fill that's been placed on site, that's all indicated in the 800-page phase 1 that we had done. The fill that was placed there was done in 1960s. We did everything we possibly can to get that data. There was some issues that were done in 2000. However, that was the Board of Health agent had that on file, and that stuff was taken care of. There were some tires and so forth put onto site. So, Madam Chair, I don't know what questions you're looking for, but the DPW is all set.
Excuse me, Chris. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I really am not interested in the other commissions and the other departments. You know, and just because I just want to be clear that just because the DPW says it's okay, and I don't have any evidence to that, but I don't really care.
Okay. Can you tell me what question specifically that I haven't answered?
I think I'm going to refer you to staff for that. I think that that's been asked.
Well, I think the staff,
so I'm going to refer you back to Mark.
The staff is talking about an LLC.
We're not talking about the LLC. I want to interrupt you again. I'm sorry, but I'm concerned about the fill, and I don't think the fill that's on the property. And I believe that you were asked to do some research, some work that has to be done to look at the fill and see what kind of fill it is. And that, I think Mark, I wrote this down because that was Mark's, one of staff's requests, and there's been no answer and no work done on that.
Madam Chair, I'm going to quote the conclusion of the report. It's summarizing its findings and recommendations. It states, quote, additional assessment activities be conducted to evaluate current soil and groundwater quality. I'm going to underscore groundwater quality based on the historic use and potential filling of the subject property with soils of unknown origin. That
Thank
to me speaks that there are potential problems.
Yeah,
I don't, and that's a quote, okay? I don't know how that can be argued. My question is, I walk out there, I make observations, I'm an individual. I see garbage, I see refuse, I see gas cans, I see steel drums, I see dilapidated buildings. These are all indications of a problematic site. I read a report paid for by the applicant that tells me additional activities be conducted to evaluate current soil and groundwater quality based on the historical use and potential filling of the subject property. I'm not arguing with them. They agree with me. They say that they've got questions. I've got questions. I'd like some answers. I don't know how you refute that, and I really don't want to spend a lot of time refuting it. It is what it is.
thank you, Mark. I think,
You can
Chris, I'm
dance
gonna give
around
you-
the comment, but that's the comment. That's the quote.
and Chris, I'm gonna give you a moment to respond to that, but I think we have seen this, since November now. And we keep coming back to the same thing, which is we still don't have the information that we need. And, we just don't have enough information. So I actually would like to hear from you to see if that's something that you're intending on doing. Or would you like, there is a suggestion to withdraw without prejudice until you can get the information and reapply.
So again, we filed this plan with DEP. DEP doesn't have any additional comments. The only one that has comments is Mark.
That's fine.
Looking to test soil that was placed there back in the 1960s, which, to be honest, you don't have jurisdiction over. And we're not touching it. So
Yeah,
I'm going to disagree.
that's not what
with-
I'm hearing from staff.
By staff, you mean Mark.
That would be correct.
Yep, and the peer review consultant, same thing. We had the meeting together face to face, and what he said, quote, not quote for quote, but pretty damn close. The only reason why I have this comment on here is because Mark wanted it on here. So I'll leave it at that.
Are you saying that that particular person lied?
He didn't. No, he didn't lie. He said he
Oh.
has that comment on there because that's what Mark wanted.
Or saying that he didn't agree with the comment?
It's just what I said. He said he put it on there because that's what Mark wanted.
But are you saying that he disagreed with the comment? The comment itself? You understand what I mean?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well,
So Christian, just Patty, if you don't mind me asking, so the second point there on that previous page you just showed that recommends a thorough soils investigation, that you're saying was only added because Mark wanted it there. Is that correct?
Correct. As an engineer, Watson, the stormwater conditions, whether the soils are C soils or D soils, we're not changing that soil material. So if we evaluate it as a C during pre-development, we're still going to evaluate it as a C for post-development. So as far as stormwater goes here, we're reducing the amount of impervious area, and we're adding stone trenches. So it's going to be, doesn't take an engineer to figure that out. It's the same amount of water, less impervious area. There's going to be less runoff. So that was the talk we had when we met.
Madam Chair, that assessment was done on ridgeberry soils, not urban land. Urban land was never raised by the applicant. It was raised by reviewers. And to speak to the question, Christian, who in DEP did you submit this to? signed off on this.
Excuse me?
You just said that you submitted to DEP and they had no questions. Who did you submit it to and who didn't ask any questions?
We submitted to the typical formality. You submitted to DEP office.
You're not answering my question. You filed an NOI and you filed it with the wetlands people. That's the normal formality. They commented, they wanted you to disclose the results of when the filling takes place, of which your consultant said it went from the 60s to 2000s. Okay, they wanted a justification as to how that fit in with regulatory compliance. If it didn't need to be filed, then we don't have an issue. But nobody has shown us that. Okay, nobody has documented when the fills took place. I have not seen that. When you say you file it with DEP wetlands, did you file it with DEP solid waste? Did you file it with DEP hazardous waste? Well, don't say you filed it with DEP. DEP is a big agency.
So again, what question did I not answer? You looking for someone to do soil testing out there to excavate and see what the soil is?
Answer, yes.
Where are you looking to do test pits?
Design the project. Okay, you can get experts to do the project. You have 2 to 4 acres of fill out there. Pick a spot, pick the hot spots. I'm not gonna go out there and point it out. Give me a characterization of what's
I'm not
out there.
providing the information you want. I'm asking you what you want.
I want a characterization of the material, the composition, and its chemical characterization. I mean, it says it in the ESA. It says it in their conclusion, okay? I'll read it again. To evaluate current soil and groundwater quality based on historical use and potential filling. That says to me, do some soil testing. If you find a pile full of autos, we need to know that, okay? That's gonna have to be addressed. Okay, there is fill there that is illegal fill, whether it's illegal.
Then make that a special condition of approval. If something gets dug up,
No, we're not going to approve something that we have questions on and then put conditions to answer our questions. No, I'm not willing to do that.
when we talked to Chris from the Board of Health, this was his comment. The Town of Dartmouth Board of Health Land Development and Reuse Regulations do not trigger if the project is just solar.
In wetlands, a project is a project is a project.
I think some of these questions that you have, Chris, might be better handled offline, since you seem not to have a clear idea, perhaps going forward, of testing and what kind of testing and so on and so forth. But
Well, you're saying I'm not answering your questions, but you can't tell me what exactly you want. Which is, we're gonna keep going in circles here.
no, we're not. Because we've spent a great deal of time on this, and I think that it's, to me at least, it's very clear what staff has requested for information. And certainly, if you're willing to provide this information as been asked, then we can do several things. I mean, we can suggest that you withdraw without prejudice until you get this information to staff. We can continue, although I'm not in favor of continuing too much more than we already have since November. We've been doing this forever, and still not getting the information that we need. Chris, what are you thinking about now? If you're willing to go back and get this information, are you willing to do that?
If it's just doing test pits out there, we can spend the day out there doing test pits. I'm not sure what that's gonna resolve.
Well, it seems odd to me that we keep going around and around on this, because I think what Mark has said, if I'm understanding him correctly, is that we need to know, we do need some testing done out there to see what kind of fill is out there before we approve a project. And I think without knowing that information, we can't go forward, in my view. Other
so
the commissioners may disagree with me, and that's fine, but what I'm hearing
the
from
only
Mark
thing-
is that we don't have enough information.
That's the only thing that's holding you back from voting?
That, to me, I mean, I'm only speaking for myself, the other commissioners. I mean, I think we need to be sure that the information that staff has requested be provided, because we need that so that we can see what kind of soils we have. And I think that any other concerns or questions that staff has about these soils, I think those should be addressed. And I know that this just has been going on for a long time. I think it's time to either, either get us the information or withdraw. I would suggest you withdraw without prejudice until you get the information. You can continue to someplace to a time further down the line when you have that information. And certainly, I'm sure that you'll be in touch with Mr. Garrett and Adam to see if that information is completely done. I mean, I think, as a commissioner, I think we have the responsibility, the regulatory responsibility, to be sure that the project is analyzed properly and then implemented properly. And without the information, I just don't know what we're dealing with. So I couldn't possibly approve it, for myself. I'm not speaking for the other commissioners. But I think when a commission asks you for the information and you never give it, I think it's of concern. So I'd like to hear from, any of the other commissioners, would you like to speak? I've been talking a lot, and I want to stop talking a little bit and hear your concerns or your comments.
I disagree. I agree with you, Patty.
I also agree. Unless the information is forthcoming, I feel that the application should be withdrawn without prejudice. I would not approve with conditions at this point.
Chris, do you want to, I'm going to open it up to anybody in the audience who would like to comment, but would you like to comment on this, Chris, before I do that?
If you want to open test pits, if that's the only thing that you're looking to get done, then we'll get it done. And
I think you're gonna, I'm not gonna say it's the only thing. I think you have to address the concerns for research on the fill that is necessary to get done. And that's been communicated. So I don't want to be part of your design team. So I think that you have information about what needs to be done. And so I don't want to say, you're trying to sort of tell me if that's all you want, I'll do it. Well, I'm going to direct you right back to staff on that. I think you need to get all of the research on the soils that is being requested.
And I will state about evaluate current soil and groundwater quality. Okay, that means physical and chemical. Chemical means sampling and analysis. I mean, it's self-explanatory. It's right there in your ESA. You know what they called out as potential problems? Common sense is a very good firm. I trust them implicitly. They would know what to do. They could run their scope past me for approval. Prior to expending a lot of time and effort in the field, and we go from there.
At this point, Chris, and I'm going to open it up to anybody in the audience who would like to comment. Is there anyone who'd like to comment? I'm going to make sure I can see everybody. I'm not seeing anybody raise their hand, but please feel free to comment. This is a public hearing. Okay, I'm not hearing anybody. Chris, do you have anything else to say? Or do you want to, what do you want to do going forward? Do you want to
Ask for a continuance?
I'm inclined to give you one more continuance, but that's going to be it. Otherwise, I will ask the commission. We have several choices ahead of us. Here, we can deny the project outright. I'm repeating what Mark said earlier. These are our choices. We can deny the project outright. We can suggest to the applicant that he withdraw without prejudice until you can get the information and then reapply. That's another choice. We can continue, but there has to be a timeline. We can approve the project with conditions. And I think that's the end of I think those are our only choices. So commissioners, the applicant is requesting to continue. If we allow that, when would you have this testing done by?
The site would have to be dig safe. Probably be able to do the soil testing, not next week, the week after.
So I think it would probably, be wise to give it a month.
The first hearing in June would be fine.
I would recommend the second hearing in June. I don't have the date at my fingertips, but that would give them enough time. Labs are backed up. That would be, I think, a little bit more fair to the applicant.
Yeah.
If they want to go that route.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. And then it
I
also.
want to say it's the 25th, Christian, but don't hold me to that. I don't
Okay.
have the dates in front of me.
I can look it up.
That's fine.
I believe it's the 20th.
20th?
I see the 25th as a
No, you're probably right. It is the 20th. I think you're right.
Actually,
We're going to sort of say that. Commissioners, is there any more discussion on this filing before we make a motion?
And for the record, we've been discussing this as one project. We have 3 filings. So if the continuance is requested, Christian, you're requesting it for 15, 2658, 2659, and 2660, obviously. But we have to say that for the record.
Thank you, Mark. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
motion for a continue.
Go ahead, Matt.
Sorry.
Motion for a continuance to the second Conservation Commission meeting of June.
That would be the 27th of June, by the way.
Okay, that's the
Thank you, Adam.
27th.
Thank you, Ed.
So we'll
Motion for a continuance to the second meeting of June, which is June 27th.
Second.
Could I make one suggestion?
Certainly. Joe.
With the condition that the soil testing that's been suggested be approved by Mr. Garrett prior to the next Conservation Commission meeting.
I think that would have to be a second motion. I'm not sure about protocol.
Okay.
Mark, do we have to do a?
Well, you can amend the motion to include that. I would submit that that might be a little difficult, just, I would say, approval prior to implementation.
Yeah.
Don't hold them to a date.
No, yeah, I would agree with that. Although I understand your meaning, Joe, and certainly, you know, all of this information would have to be in by this time. Otherwise, it would either be continued or the applicant can withdraw without prejudice or come back, whatever. So, I mean, those choices will still exist.
Okay,
So I'm going to have to do a roll call vote for this. So this is a motion to that's been seconded to continue this public hearing until the second hearing in June, which is June 27th, 2023. So roll call vote, Joe,
yes,
Nat,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
and Richard,
Yes,
and myself votes yes. So that motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
On to the next public hearing, which is, I'm going to read it into the record. This is continued public hearing, DEP file number 15-2660 on the notice of intent from Potter Street Solar LLC for a single family dwelling and a ground mounted solar panel array on the rear portion of the lot within bordering land subject to flooding and the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands on land map 138, lot 144-1, otherwise known as Potter Street. Can we have make a motion, folks, to waive the reading?
so moved.
So moved.
Second.
And I'll do a roll call vote. Nat,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Richard,
yes,
Joe,
Yes,
and myself voting aye, so that motion passes unanimously. Mark, I'm assuming we're going to be continuing this until the same.
Yeah, I think it's the same motion as the last hearing.
Okay, commissioners, can I get a motion to continue this public hearing until June 27th, 2023?
So moved.
7 PM.
Second.
Roll call vote, Nat?
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Richard,
Yes,
Joe,
yes,
and myself voting aye, so that motion passes unanimously. On to the third public hearing. This is a continued public hearing, DEP file number 15-2658 on the notice of intent from Potter Street Solar LLC, proposing a ground-mounted solar panel array on the rear portion of the lot within bordering land subject to flooding and the 100-foot buffer zone bordering vegetated wetlands on land described as map 138 lot 44-2, otherwise known as Potter Street. Can I get a motion to waive the reading, please?
so moved.
Second.
And a roll call vote, please. Nat?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
Richard?
yes,
Joe?
Yes,
And myself voting aye, so that motion passes unanimously. And this is also going to be continued. So can I get a motion to continue the public hearing until June 27th, 2023 at 7 PM?
So
So
moved.
So moved. Second.
And a roll call vote. Nat? Nat, I'm sorry, just at the roll call
Sorry.
vote. It's okay.
Aye. Yeah.
Kelly,
Aye.
Richard,
yes,
Joe,
yes,
and myself voting aye, so that motion passes unanimously. And thank you, Chris, for coming this evening. We're going to move on to number 4, continued public hearing, DEP file number 15-2674 on the notice of intent from Craig Weatherly to construct a 128-foot long dock with associated gangway and float system within land subject to coastal storm flowage, land under the ocean, land containing shellfish, rocky intertidal shore, and buffer zone to salt marsh, coastal bank, and bordering vegetated wetland on land described as map 35, lot 24, otherwise known as 153 Gulf Road, Can I get a motion to waive the reading?
So moved.
Second,
Roll call vote. Nat,
Aye.
Kelly,
Hi.
Richard,
yes.
Joe,
Yes,
and myself voting aye. That motion passes unanimously. And who is here for the applicant?
I don't see anybody.
Believe this was
Tom
Tom.
Hardman.
Tom Hardman. Is there anybody here for this public hearing that is representing the applicant?
Can I suggest, since Tom isn't here,
Yeah.
we postpone, I can call him?
Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna need a motion to do that, I believe. So I'm going to put this down at the bottom of the list. So can I have a motion to move public hearing number 4 to the end of the public hearings?
so moved.
Second.
And roll call vote. Nat,
Aye.
Kelly,
Hi.
Richard,
Yes,
Joe,
Yes,
and Patty votes yes. So that motion passes unanimously, and it has been moved down to the bottom. We'll move on to number 5, which is a continued public hearing, DEP file number 15-2682 from Christina Bowen for drainage improvements to address an existing drainage overflow issue within the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland on land described as map 49, lot 19, or 285 Old Westport Road. Can I get a motion to waive the reading?
so
Mhm.
moved.
so moved.
Second.
Roll call vote on that for Nat.
Aye.
Kelly,
Hi.
Richard,
Yes,
Joe,
Yes,
and Patty voting aye, so that motion passes unanimously. And who is here for the applicant?
Good evening. This is Christopher Garcia with GGD Consulting Engineers, with the civil engineers on the project representing the university tonight.
Great, welcome.
Thank you. At our last hearing, we reviewed the proposed drainage swale that the university wants to construct at an existing stormwater outfall that was causing some drainage issues down near Chase Road. One of the outstanding items during the last meeting was the drainage analysis and review by the third-party consultant. We had since the last meeting issued the drainage analysis, had that reviewed. There was 5, I would say, minor comments, which we have addressed and reissued a new set of drawings, a new set of drainage analysis on the 28th of April. Since then, we've gotten a letter in agreements with our revisions from Mr. Raposo. And I believe that was the only outstanding item brought up at the last meeting. I can present the plans if the board so chooses.
That's, Mark, do you think that's necessary or?
Absolutely not. I think Chris is absolutely right. We were all pretty much in agreement with what was being proposed based on the discussion. We did not have the response from Gus at that point. We did get a response. He had the 5 issues. GDC did respond. He signed off on it. I sent you his memorandum indicating as such. So at this point, staff would recommend to the commission to issue a standard order of conditions as per the revised plans dated 4/28/23.
Thank you, Mark. Is there anybody, any commissioners want to be heard on this application? Is there anybody in the audience that would like to be heard? I'm not seeing any hands raised. Okay, hearing none. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
recommend standard order of condition as per the revised plan dated 4/28/23.
Second,
We'll do a roll call vote. Nat,
Aye.
Kelly,
aye.
Richard,
Yes,
Joe,
Yes,
and myself voting yes makes it unanimous. So that motion passes. And thank you very much for coming this evening.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Same to you.
okay.
We're going to move on to public hearing number 6. This is public hearing DEP file number 15-2682 from Derek and Jason Coutu from Coutu Construction. I hope I pronounced that correctly. To construct 3 limited industrial buildings with ancillary parking within the buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland on land described as map 61, lot 5-14 and 5-16, otherwise known as 11 and 13 Commerce Way. Can I get a motion to waive the reading?
So
so
moved.
moved.
Second,
Second.
And I'll get a roll call vote on that. Nat?
Aye.
Kelly?
aye.
Richard?
Yes,
Joe?
Yes,
And myself voting aye, so that motion passes unanimously. And who is here for the applicant?
Madam Chair, the applicant emailed the staff last week requesting a continuance. I forwarded that email to the commission requesting to be continued to the 23rd of May.
Thank you, Mark.
This is tied to the COC that we continued early on. They're kind of tied together.
Okay. Can I get a motion to continue until May 23rd at 7 p.m.?
so moved.
Second.
And can I get a roll call vote on that? Nat?
Yes, or aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
Richard?
Yes,
Joe?
yes,
And myself voting aye, that motion passes unanimously. And we are going to do number 7, the last public hearing is DEP file number 15-2683 from Jason and Giselle Hutchins for beach nourishment within the coastal beach and in land subject to coastal storm flowage and the installation of a privacy privet hedge within the 100-foot buffer zone to a coastal bank, a man-made coastal bank on land described as map 107, lot 19, otherwise known as Smith Neck Road. Can I get a motion to waive the reading?
so moved.
second,
Roll call vote. Nat?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
Richard?
yes,
Joe?
Yes,
And myself voting aye, that motion passes unanimously. And who is here for the applicant?
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commission members, Dave DeVignan from Schneider, DeVignan Leone, representing the applicants and owners.
Good evening. Hi, Dave.
Hi. Should I go first or is it Mark first?
No, it's all
You
it's all
first.
you. You're first.
You're on the hot seat. Come
You're
on.
first, Dave.
All right, so can I screen share?
Sure.
Okay, so the property is map 107 lot 19. It doesn't have an address because it's affiliated with the property across the street where Jason and Giselle are, I think, finishing up building a new house. The commission's seen the property before in the past. In the last 4 or 5 years or so, we came before the commission for permission to build a pile supported timber pier with a gangway and float, as you see on the plan right here. And we also came under a separate filing to rebuild a stone riprap seawall along the boundary of the property on the east side of Smith Neck Road. A little more history, somewhere between the construction of both of those items, which are complete and have certificate of compliance is issued, there was a privet hedge that was built or installed along that property boundary without any survey stakes prior to its placement. and it was discovered probably a majority of that was over the property line into the street layout and was not permitted. Eventually, all of that was removed. So we're back to square one with the seawall running the length of the road, which exists. So the seawall, the pier exists. We're here this evening for the placement of beach nourishment in the lower southwest quadrant of the property. The property is about 300 linear feet from the north boundary to its south. We're operating in the 25% southerly portion, essentially where there is a beach that they can enjoy themselves. Mr. Hutchins would like to install the privet hedge back on his property tightly between the street line and the boulder seawall. We would be setting survey stakes prior to placement of that. He's informed me that he's aware of comments made by the town planner, the planning board, that he'd be more than happy to have a condition that it remain at no higher than 4 feet. He simply wants it for privacy when they're on the beach. So we're proposing nourishment no thicker than 6 inches on average throughout this area. This area was beat up on that December 22nd, 23rd of 22 storm. So the placement of the sand would be above the high tide line, north of the beach grass. An average of 6 inches would amount to 60 cubic yards over an area of 3,300 square feet. That is the gist of the project, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thanks very much, Dave. Mark, do you have staff comments?
We do. I'm pretty much in favor of the project. David, and I'm going to ask you the question. Did you see my email today from the harbor master?
I did. Yes, I did.
Okay. I forwarded to David as well as the commissioners an email that I received literally mid-morning that apparently there is a dredge study being conducted by Both for, I guess, waterways or the harbor master, town certainly, relative to dredging the channel in the harbor. And his suggestion was basically, would the applicant be willing to share that information with Foth just to make sure that this is not going to impact what they're seeing in terms of sand transport and the like? My sense is it shouldn't, because it's in an area that is sheltered by the rock there to the south, but I'm not an expert. So I guess my question would be to David, would you mind affording that information to Foth for them to review?
No, not at all. Would that be a 2-week continuance?
Oh, I don't think that that's if I could interject here. This is a dredging feasibility study. You know, that the town would be involved in. So I don't believe that you know, that's a feasibility study for dredging. And so I think I think my understanding is that there is a lot of sand. There's like a sandbar that parallels Smith Neck Road northward from the project site, but also along the south side of the causeway out to Nun 12. And I think for anybody who sails through there, they probably are noticing that there's a hump. And some of that, it's been postulated that a lot of that has come from fill from that area, nourishment from that area. But
Sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
So I don't think that feasibility study, I mean, I think, Mark, are you asking that they submit data to the feasibility study?
No, I'm just asking for them to submit their plan to FOF to see if it impacts, you know, what they are finding. I mean, this is a request from the harbor master. I'm translating.
Yeah,
I can read it. Let's see. What did he say?
I think I've got this here.
Yeah, well, here he said, it says in the fifth paragraph, I'm reading, rather than add more nourishment or sand to the problem area being studied, I asked the Conservation Commission to consider the impact any added sand will contribute to the accumulated impediment. Please allow FOF engineering time to consider what, if any, impact adding more sand will bring to the anticipated harbor dredging project.
Okay,
To be fair, this is a filing. It's, you know, we have a response requirement here.
yeah,
I'm just asking, would David afford that information to FOF to see if this really is an issue? And in Steve's memo, he does speak about the sandbar and Nun 12 and all of that, and he doesn't know if it contributes. I guess he's asking, is this a target area for sand transport offshore to the bar? I mean, I think that's
Yeah.
the sum total of what he's asking.
okay.
And all I'm asking David is if he would afford that to FOF for their review.
Thank you for clarifying that, Mark.
I have no objection to forwarding the plan to FOF, so long as you can provide me with who the direct contact is. Or, you know, if they wanna, I've been talking PDF or CAD, either way, you know, be more than willing to share the information with them.
You have this plan, the plan that you're showing us. Is there any other supporting documentation?
No, there wouldn't. We would probably we have more contour information, rock formation information towards the pier. That's probably not shown on this plan. So, as far as more information,
Is that in plan form or narrative?
plan form.
Why don't you send me both plans of the PDFs? I'll get them to Steve to get them to FOF, and you know, whatever date we decide to continue to, whether it be 2 or 4 weeks out, I give them that deadline. We need comment by, you know, to move forward. Does that sound appropriate?
I don't mind a 2-week continuance one bit. My client's out of the country. I don't know how happy you would be for a full month's continuance, but
You tell us.
4 week, right? Not 4 months.
Oh, did I say I meant 4? I'm not so sure he was like 4 weeks. He wanted to put some sand down in June. I know that. So, what would that bring us to? June.
It sounds like
Sorry, I couldn't unmute. June 13th.
Okay. Yeah,
That
I can't see that being a big problem. Unless August comes soon. I can make that leap and say, we can respectfully request with the understanding that Mark would give them a cutoff to submit comments, and I can forward.
Yeah.
I'll forward the information to you tomorrow, Mark.
Yeah, David, what I would do is the hearing's on the 13th, so we would back that out to the Thursday before. We need their response by 3 p.m. on, you know, whatever that is, June 9th. I don't know but whatever the Thursday is by 3 p.m.
Thursday.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anybody in the audience? Commissioners, do you have any comments?
I don't know, Michael.
Commissioners, do you have any comments? Nope. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to be heard?
So what else is going on?
Okay, commissioners, can I get a motion to continue this public hearing until June 13th at 7 p.m.?
So
So
moved.
moved.
You making dinner
Second.
for you and the or just you?
We'll
Could
roll
you,
call
because you're
vote.
getting feedback?
Yeah, I think, you know, somebody, so I think somebody in the audience is, needs to mute themselves because they're, or stop talking so that we can get on with business here. I'm going to do a roll call vote. Nat,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Richard,
Yes,
Joe,
Yes,
myself, voting aye, so that motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
right.
I see that. There's Tom. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Madam Chair. I apologize for my tardiness. My organizational skills aren't what they used to be, and I actually thought someone else in my office was covering this meeting, but
Well, you're
I'm
right.
here now.
You're right on time. You're
Oh,
right.
I don't really think so. I don't
Oh,
like
yes, you
doing
are. You're
things this
fine.
way.
So we are going to move back to that item that we moved to the last, which is item number 4. This is a continued public hearing, DEP file number 15-2674, on the notice of intent from Craig Weatherly to construct a 128-foot-long dock with associated gangway and float system within land subject to coastal storm flowage, land under the ocean, land containing shellfish, rocky intertidal shore, and buffer zone to salt marsh, coastal bank, and bordering vegetated wetland on land described as map 35, lot 24, otherwise known as 153 Gulf Road. Can I get a motion to waive the reading
So moved.
Second.
second,
and a roll call vote on that? Nat,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Richard,
yes,
Joe,
Yes,
and myself voting aye. That motion passes unanimously. Tom, it's all yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe at our last meeting, there was some communication from the harbor master, which would have liked us to take a look at shortening the length of the dock by about 32 feet, which would have been 2 bays of pilings back. So I took that back to the clients and as well as the crew that helped me put this together. And that looked very reasonable. The points that were brought up by both the commissioners and the staff made perfect sense. So we took it back, took a look at it. Yes, we were able to pull it back 32 feet and get pretty much the same depth of water out at the end of the dock. I spoke with the clients and they were amenable to doing that. So we have submitted revised plans that pull the dock back a good 32 feet and in accordance, basically have the same depth of water out at the end of the float.
Thank you, Tom. Do you have a screen share that you?
I don't. I apologize. I ran in and I'm completely, but I did see that up just a second ago. I believe someone had it up.
Maybe Mark has it.
No, I have a hard copy. I emailed Tom's email to the commissioners. What I can tell you is it's the old pier, 32 feet shorter. It was proposed at 128. It's now proposed at 96. They're still within that 3 to 4 foot mean low water range. They've reduced the square footage coverage from 822 square feet to 704 square feet. So, and they pulled the boat at the end of the dock further away from the high-speed recreation area, which is still of some concern for the harbor master. And he wants the applicants to know that the high-speed area pre-exists their dock, so any wave action caused by that, they're going to be subject to. You know, I will probably list that in a condition. It's not something the applicants need to do. They just need to deal with it. You know,
And I did make them aware of that and his concern, Mark. I made them aware of his concern and they acknowledged it.
Okay.
And they realized that that's the case.
Okay, that's fine. If Tom doesn't have anything else, I'm prepared to, with the new plan, let me get my notes here, it's shown by 32 feet, reduced square footage, let's see, so I'm prepared to recommend a standard order of conditions. 1 through 40, with condition 42 for the signage being put out to condition 48 and adding seven additional conditions, which I will read into the record here. The first one would be condition 41. An anchored floating boom and silk curtain shall be deployed and maintained throughout the construction period to completely isolate the project work from the open bay. Condition 42, all landside construction work shall be segregated from the downgrading jurisdictional wetland resources with properly installed and maintained stake and entrenched hay bales or wattles and silt fence along the lawn edge, extending 50 feet north and south of the proposed dock. 43, barge grounding will be avoided throughout the construction period. 44, since the project area is mapped as shellfish habitat and its footprint is a direct impact to land containing shellfish, the commission shall require one-time payment to the town's dedicated shellfish seed account. The commission considers a density of 35 cohort mercenaria seed per square foot at $70 per thousand seed over 704 square feet, sufficient to mitigate resource area habitat loss totaling to a one-time payment of $1,725 to the town's dedicated shellfish seed account as administered by the Harbor Master Shellfish Constable. I would also put just a condition alerting the applicants, as I just mentioned, to the wave action caused by the pre-existing high-speed recreation area offshore of their particular site. There's also a question that arose about the 30-inch stops on the floats so that they don't ground either. So you know, the float stops would have to have a 30-inch stop for grounding at low tide. And then the last one would be to sign the required sign for the file number. That would be my recommendation.
And are we adding not a condition, but a comment about the high speed?
Yes, that's
I'm sorry.
that's 45.
Okay,
46 is the stop, and 47 is the sign.
thank you. Commissioners, do you have any comments on this application? Is there anybody in the audience that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Recommend a standard order of conditions as per the revised plan submitted with the additional conditions as outlined by Mr. Mark Garrett.
Second.
Commissioners? Thank you. I'll do a roll call vote. Nat,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Richard,
Yes,
Joe,
Yes,
and myself voting yes, so that motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, everyone, for your
Came just in
patience.
time.
thank you, Tom.
This will not happen again, I can assure you.
Don't worry. It was perfect, actually, so it didn't.
Well, I'm glad that it was, but it's
Cause
not the way
problem.
I like doing things, but that's
Always
all
good,
right.
always good to see you.
Nice to
Thanks,
meet you, Tom.
Doctor.
Take
Good
care.
to see you all. Have a great, enjoy this great weather.
Take care.
Same to you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner, so we are on to items for discussion. Mark, I guess we have a bill.
Well, we got two bills, actually. We have the 3,500 to Gus Reposo for the Potter Street drainage review. I need approval to sign off on that.
Can I get a motion to approve paying the $3,500 bill to Gus Reposo for Potter Street drainage review?
Second,
so moved.
I have to do a roll call vote. Nat,
Aye.
Kelly?
Yeah.
Richard,
Yes.
Joe,
yes,
and myself voting yes, so that motion passes unanimously. Do we have another bill?
Yes, we do. We have another $3,500 bill for Gus Reposo that I need to sign off on for the UMass drainage review.
Can I get a motion?
That's for $3,500 also.
Can I get a motion to pay the $3,500 bill to
So
Gus
moved.
Reposo for the UMass
Second.
Dartmouth project? Roll call vote, Nat,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Richard,
Yes.
Joe,
yes,
myself voting yes, that motion passes unanimously. We're on to B.
If I could just jump in at a point here. Gus has expended all of the review money for Potter Street. So if there are any other reviews, and there will be, they will need to add more money to the kitty.
Understood.
Just FYI for you.
Okay. We're down to enforcement issues, Mark?
Yeah, I ought to summarize real quick here. As you know, town council was going to review those EOs, and he did, and he doesn't disagree with them, but and I do agree with him. I think that the Potter Street issue is bigger than just the wetlands issue. I think there is a potential nightmare out there. I'm not saying there is one, but there is a potential one out there. So he has requested that the town administrator, Sean McGinnis, have a meeting, a multi-departmental meeting just on this particular issue with those departments that need to put inputs in. As to how an enforcement action would, affect them. And there might be some issues that come up that the town might not be too excited about. So he wants to evaluate moving forward on those, quite carefully. So that's where that stands. We have a couple of other things that I wanted to bring up. Any of you who have gone down to the Rogers Street boat ramp landing will have noticed that somebody has configured rocks along the shoreline. The harbor minister reported it to me. It was the brothers Guba of, I believe it's 715 Dartmouth Street or 615 Dartmouth Street. I forget the address. We sent them a letter. They've been in contact with us. I told them to remove the unnatural rocks that they had placed, and he said he would. That was a couple of days ago. It hasn't been done yet, but just in case somebody sees it, we know about it. Another issue, our friend at 51 Abner Potter Way has been playing on his property again. And is in contempt technically with the supplemental judgment that was issued by the Superior Court. Brian and I have talked about this. The neighbor ratted him out. All he was doing was raking leaves and cleaning up. I guess if we all wanted to be jerks about it, we could say, hey, he's in contempt of court. It was minor stuff. We alerted him to the fact that we knew what he was doing and that he was technically in contempt of court, but we weren't going to push the action. Just he needs to contact Conservation Commission or conservation staff before he does anything. That letter was sent out yesterday, certified return receipt. This happened on Friday and Sunday past. So just to make you aware of that. I also sent you a memo or copied you on a memo that Adam had written up regarding the plantings that were due on April 28th. Largely, most of it has been completed. A couple of projects did not quite make the deadline. We have been leaning on them and they are working towards getting it completed. Some have plant supply problems. Others have just not been as diligent as they should, but they are aware that we're leaning on them and We've given them a little grace, but we told them, you know, enough is enough, so. Everybody seems to be pretty close to closing in. 218 Horse Neck Road, they actually added plantings. Woodbury Street just has put the shrubs in, but they haven't put the seed down. And Murray at 22 Slocum is, they just can't get the plants. They've got a lot of planting to do. They've put in a lot of stuff. What they've done looks great, but they just have to get on it, and they're working on it. They basically have given us an open door policy to go in there anytime we want. So we've been in there 2 or 3 times, and they're proceeding. And given the length of time that it's taken us to get to this point, while they're not totally complying with deadlines, we're a heck of a lot farther in a year than we were in 5 years. So that's probably a good thing. Other than that, not an enforcement issue, but my last comment was to thank Kelly for her time with us, and her inputs and her support along the way. I know we'll miss her, and I'm sure the commissioners have personal comments, but from the staff, good luck and thanks.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate that. I'm gonna miss you guys.
Well, we're going to miss you. You've been just an exemplary commissioner throughout. How long have you been commissioner?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I think I joined in 2017, but I'm not positive about that. So.
Yeah, I think you might maybe before that.
No, I think you were before that. I think
I think
you
you're
started
before
just before I came on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when
And
was that?
I came on in 2015.
Yeah, I think that's right, Kelly. I think you've been here since before 2017, I think. So I know you at least for a year or 2 years before then. But
Okay. Well, it's
Time
been a
flies when
pleasure.
you're having fun.
well, you know what? You've been a
Oh,
great
is that what this is, Nat? Fun?
And I also want to say that I think I really have valued you being a commissioner because you just have a really good legal mind. And I know you've got the training, but it's just sharp and concise. And, I think it's been really helpful to the commission. You've been consistent. I think you're wise. And so
thank you, Patty. You're very sweet.
I don't want to embarrass you, but I also want you to know how much we value who you are as a person and all the contribution you've made to this commission, because it's really been a lot. You tend to be quiet, but when you say something, it's a lot. So we're just so appreciative of everything, and hope you come back sometime.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I've absolutely enjoyed my time, and I am sad to say goodbye. But on Tuesday nights you will find me out racing sonars. So that's my enjoying our beautiful Buzzards Bay. That's my alternative.
Well, thank you.
Kelly, it's been a pleasure. Wish you well.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care, Kelly.
Thanks, Richard. Appreciate it. You guys have fun.
We're always having fun. So with that said, can I get it? Mark, do you have anything else? Mark?
Yeah, we'll go to sleep.
Yeah, good. Me too. All right. So
I can make the motion to adjourn. I always do that part anyways.
You do that. Go ahead.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
And I got a roll call vote.
Patty, compliment you on a very well-run meeting. You did a great job.
Well, you're very sweet. Anyway, Nat, thank you, Joe. Nat,
Aye.
Kelly,
Aye.
Richard,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
and myself saying aye. And thank you, Mark and Adam, for all you do for us. This was a lot on the agenda.
Here, here.
Very appreciate your expertise. Thank you.
As Nat said, it's fun.
Thank you, Kelly.
Bye,
Good night, everyone. Take
Bye,
care.
everybody.
Adam.
Good night.